Okay, so up to Kuvia base. Tabas Hayetzer Shel Adam, the desire of the inclination of a person. Whom we took of a tava, it comes from the strength of the desire. Shall avi v'ima of his father and mother, at the time he was conceived, the time his father made his mother pregnant. Amar David HaMelech Alav Hashem, like King David said, "B'mizmar kasher ba v'gomer v'heim ba von chulalti, in sin I was conceived." V'gomer. Like it says in this one of the Zohar type midrashim in Vayera. It says Shemikai Shatzmo B'Shas Tashbi, somebody who makes himself holy at the time of having marital relations. Lomi Stafu Bana Miyetzar, his children are not afraid of Yetzar. I have grave difficulty with this type of Reb Tzadok. Although Reb Tzadok says a lot because it's really unfair, because it comes out that a person who's born from a father and mother who were not holy at the time of relations, they had negative thoughts, so then, or inappropriate thoughts, so their child suffers as a result and starts off from a very low place. But this is a very big thing. Kabbalah and Hasidus, they have this opinion, and I can't do anything about it, that the thoughts of a father and mother at the time that they conceive a child are to give a certain personality to the child. And in fact, there is a Ramban, which is a very controversial Ramban, says that at the time a person's having relations with his wife and they're trying to have a child, so they should have in mind the images of great tzaddikim, and so in order to bring down in the shama a great tzaddik to the child. It's very difficult, and we don't really, at least in the non-Hasidic world, uh, discuss these things or promote these things. But there are sources for it, as Reb Tzadok is bringing it down here. So, and therefore he said, therefore, Bas Kohen Shezin, so if the daughter of a Kohen commits prostitution, so Esabia Mechalos, she desecrates her father. It's the language of the pasuk. So the way the Reb Tzadok is learning the pasuk, to desecrates her father is literal. That her father is desecrated because he's responsible. Afilu began Aiden, even if he's not alive anymore, he's dead. Daniel so there was that he's judged because it was his thoughts at the time that he conceived this daughter, which brought her to this situation where she was likely was able to actually find herself in a situation where she committed this avera. So therefore, when Yosef was about to sin with the wife of Potiphar, so his father appeared to him and saved him from the sin, because that kedusha which his father had when he conceived him with Rachel, that kedusha was intrinsic in Yosef. It was embedded in Yosef, and therefore it comes back to him, and in seeing the image of his father when he's about to sin and preventing him from sinning with her. So this thought, which happened at the time of conception of the parents, embeds itself in the neshama of the child for good or for bad. And when a father gets punished for whatever he did wrong in this world, including having inappropriate thoughts in the time he conceived his child, if he did have inappropriate thoughts, so that if he's fixed there in Shamayim, and is fixed there, the son is aroused to do tshuva in this world, because there's still this intrinsic connection, this intense connection between the neshama of the father and the neshama of the child. And the opposite is true as well. And this is more of a something which is more, I guess, mainstream, we could say. By the son fixing himself and doing tshuva on whatever averos he did, and fixing his yetzer of avera. It's a schus, it's a merit, and for the father and mother Gan Eden, and they are then also whatever they did wrong is atoned for, is diminished, and their punishment is lessened. Therefore, at the time of bris milah, shutikun bris, since the bris milah fix is something which helps keep a child be holy and keep himself holy and not give in to his desires. Vataiva, it fixes fixes a person's desires. Only Yismacha Bicha Bimecha. There's a pasuk which is said at the time of bris milah is given, the father and mother should rejoice because the father and mother, if even the father and mother messed up in the thoughts they had at the time they conceived the child, nevertheless the bris milah helps fix that. And the child now has less of an inclination to sin. The child will therefore be in a higher madrega because of the bris milah, and that's a benefit for the father and mother. And this is included in what Chazal say that the genetic makeup of a child, that the father's intelligence goes down to the child. So just say father's intelligence goes down to the child, says Tzadok, that this is the flip side of it. Just like the father's intelligent, the son is intelligent, so too, if the father is foolish and sins, so therefore the son has the inclination to be foolish and sin. Because a person doesn't commit a sin, Chazal say, unless there enters into him some sort of spirit of insanity, not literal insanity. If a person is literally insane, they wouldn't be responsible for any of the averos they committed. But it means that it's a deviation. Going away, being distracted from chachma is what causes a sin. Rambam says a person's heart is full of chachma is never going to sin because they're always involved with the intellect and with intellectual pursuits. It's only a person who is not involved with chachma who sins. So that's like nichnaso ruach shtus. He deviates. The word shtus itself, which means stupidity, comes from the word soteh, which means to deviate. So there, if somebody deviates from chachma, that's how he becomes subject to doing averos. So therefore, of a person, just like the chachma, which is the positive, comes to the father, so to the shtus, which is the stupidity, the negative, which was the cause of avera. Also, the flip side of that comes from the father as well. So therefore, this idea is that there is this, just like there is a genetic situation, which and a spiritual genetic situation, which a child faces, which comes from his or her, for that matter, parent, and comes down to them. And I think this is in line with Reb Tzadok and the Ishbitzer perspective on Bechira Chavshis, that it's narrow, that you have relatively little free will. And therefore, even things like the basic character, which you have, to a large extent comes down from your parents, and then you are judged not on how great you become in an absolute way, but rather what you do with the tools you're given. So therefore, to a certain extent, it's kind of a consoling thing, a nechama, a positive thing, because person is a person who's given a limited amount of tools, who's given a lot of deficits because their parents were not great people. So that person also is not judged harshly. It's just because, okay, was limited. What can we can expect of him? So he's limited by his, so to speak. It's like a birth defect. Can't expect somebody who's has a birth defect, who has no doesn't have functioning legs to be able to walk. So you can't expect somebody who was born with the deficit of having parents who are not great people is going to be able to accomplish so much spiritually. So I think it's besides being a limiting bechira and being somewhat negative, it also is a positive because it gives a person perspective that what they accomplish relative to where they came from is really what they're looking to accomplish in this world, not being the greatest person because other people start off at high levels and other people start at lower levels. Everybody starts because judged on the level which they start and how they act accordingly. Kufir Gimel. Pre tzaddik who eats chaim. The fruit of a tzaddik is the tree of life. So the similar idea. In other words, Lezer Shimon's son was off the derech. He was a very bad person, but his father said Lezer Shimon, great person. So Rabbi Yehuda Nasi found him after his father died and took him in and made him into a great person as well. So even though he didn't look that way, because he was the son of Lezer Shimon, although he might go off, he still has the dormant inside him this great potential. The Vada HaTzaddik Moli Nefashos Yikaros, because tzaddik definitely gives birth to precious souls. But it's Chaim Hainu Torah, and that's why it says pre tzaddik. The fruit of the tzaddik is the Eitz Chaim Hainu Torah. Shu Echad Im HaNefashos. This is the Torah, which is one with the nefashos. I'm not sure exactly what it means that, but I think it means that the Jewish soul has this intrinsic connection to Torah, and if they come from a tzaddik, an even greater connection. The Rizal said, "Beruchin v'shidin v'lilin." The spirits and the demons, male and female, Sholi Adam Rishon, which Adam Rishon gave birth to, the 130 years he separated from his wife. Hayador Shibun Mitzrayim. They were those souls, which are damaged souls, had great potential because they were children of Adam Rishon. So therefore, even though they were damaged souls, and initially they were demons, they came back as a generation which was in Egypt, and they obviously came out on a very high level, received the Torah. According to the Mukubalim, when Yosef refrained from sinning with the wife of Potiphar, he had an emission. 10 drops came out, 10 drops of semen, 10 drops of zera, and according to the Arizal, those damaged neshamos at the time, because obviously they didn't become true people. It was only his own zera. It wasn't, he didn't conceive any truth then. But later on, they became a saruge mal melucha. They became the 10 tzaddikim were killed at Kiddush Hashem after the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. So there's this idea that if somebody comes from a tzaddik, something comes from a tzaddik, even at first it's damaged and inappropriate, it ultimately has great potential to become something great and fantastic. But you need somebody like Rebbe who said about himself, I'm taking souls. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, who saved Rabbi Elazar Shimon's son. Chacham, a wise man. The Chachma is brittle. With their Chachma, they can clarify, around, take them away from evil. For my days, at Talmid Chacham Ador. Sometimes it's by a Talmid Chacham the generation. Kanis El, like we mentioned this here, or just above, me Perikapolim, in that Perik above Metzia, Bibnosh Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon is about the son of Rabbi Elazar Shimon. So sometimes it's a Talmid Chacham. Talmid Chacham is, so to speak, Makari of this person, and brings this person into who has great potential, to the proper place. For my day, Kush Baruch Batzmo. And sometimes Hashem himself does it. Shikar Gankin Lokech Nefashos B'mishpat. He's called also he who takes souls in judgment, in justice, actually, and that's a rare. We don't say this is a special benching, but there's a special birkas hamazon, special grace after meals, which is said in the house of a mourner. We no longer say it, but it says it there. Shem is take souls. And so sometimes, why is it said in the house of a mourner when somebody died in the family? Because sometimes when a father dies, Shenikra Hashem is where it's said, which is called when Hashem takes souls, literally speaking, takes the soul back to Muganki Lukech Nefesh Beno. Lukech Nefesh Nefesh Beno. He also brings the son back. This actually happens very often, just in a simple way, that when a father dies, the son says Kaddish. Son becomes the son's Kaddish, and many children have come back to religion, even they've been far away from religion, in the period of mourning their parents, because they've had a religious experience from saying Kaddish, and a religious experience from their parents dying, and they become more observant as a result. But he says here, here's more being more mystical about it. He's saying that the death of the father impacts mystically on the son to come back. So to even the souls which are damaged souls, like the when a person was Motzi Zer Levatala and he gave birth to Shidim Beruchim Belin and all sorts of damaged souls, they're also fixed by the death of the father, not just his real children, but also his damaged spiritual children. But becomes a tree. They become a tree of life. Also, there to Gemara Sham, and sometimes it follows the pathway which Gemara gives there. Where what Rabbi Yehuda Nasi do when he found Rabbi Elazar Shimon's son? The Karele Rebbe. He first called him Rabbi. He came Smicha first, and then the son lived up to it. And he tells this causes other people to give him a smicha. In other words, to have to treat him like a rabbi. Ulagdilo, and this makes him greater. It's like mitoch shelo lishma bo lishma. So the original reason is not necessarily the ideal reason. That you don't call him rabbi because he's really a rabbi. But if you call him a rabbi, he'll live up to it and become a rabbi. Then he really grows afterwards. But Rebbe Shkarlo Oz, and then the fact that we call him Rebbe to begin with, we call him rabbi even though he didn't deserve it at the time, was not for north. Because we see the truth. And he does grow into the role as okay. You see, also originally he was a rabbi. Was just hidden. Kimore Bisha Gira Tava Lo Nafik. From a bad place, from a bad master, good arrows don't come. In other words, if good arrows got shot out and good results came, must have been that it came from a good place. The Teda, you should know the Isa Sham Lo Shazeh Goldom Izeh. Not the one was greater than the other. I don't remember the exact language of the Gemara there, but So obviously, sure, even though this son of Eliezer Shem initially was pursued prostitutes and did all sorts of inappropriate things. Mikom lotis kon rishonos. Nevertheless, once he did tshuva, those original sins are forgotten. They're not remembered anymore. Like any Baal tshuva, when they do tshuva, so the original sins fall off. But so therefore, once the original sins fall off, so tov b'gadol. He was so it turns out he was really great to begin with. It's just because there was something which had to be removed, which was covering up. Kamoba Sof, like he was at the end, about Cain, these because Gemara, that's why that's mentioned in the Gemara. Even though, why is it mentioned about him? If he became a great person, it's not nice to mention about him that he initially had relations with prostitutes. So it's telling us no. You should know. Even a person in that situation, sometimes somebody can come along and help him out and bring him to a situation where he can do tshuva. And that's by believing in him and having faith in him, and even to the point where you call him rabbi. And then it shows in the end, I don't know if it's a guarantee, but that person comes to that point and he does become a great person in the end. Okay, that's a nice piece. All right. Have a good evening. Take care.